Back with the terrible to the Sweet Dreams, featuring the new Komala from Lost Origin with the All Just a Dream ability, preventing your opponent from drawing any prize cards if they knock out your Komala while it is asleep. It also has the collapse attack doing 60 damage for 2 colorless, causing itself to go to sleep. So we're trying to use this card with our Fusion Strike Butterfree with the Tricolored Scale ability, making your opponent's active Pokemon burn, confuse, and poison as you evolve this Pokemon from your hand. We get to evolve freely with our Caterpie and Metapod's adaptive evolution, making it easier for us to use this ability. To help us place even more damage cards on our opponent's active Pokemon with special conditions, with our Radiant Sneasler from Lost Origin with the Poison Peak ability, putting 2 more damage counters on our opponent's poison Pokemon during Pokemon Checkup. And also the new Pyroar from Lost Origin with the Scorching Aura ability, putting 4 damage counters on our opponent's burn Pokemon instead of 2 during Pokemon Checkup. So we're killing off our opponent's Pokemon bit by bit with special conditions while attacking with Komala, since we're not doing a lot of damage with this attack. But if we flip a Tails for the sleep condition passing the turn, we can deny our opponent from drawing any prize on their next turn if they knock out our Komala in the active with damage from an attack. Or we can at least force them to play a boss or escape rope just to draw a single prize each time we have our Komala asleep in the active. It also has 100 HP, which is a bit tricky just because you can't use Level Ball or Rescue Carrier for it. That's why we have 2 Raws to shuffle it back along with any Butterfrees that got killed, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Vapor Pass, 1 Capture, 1 Great Ball, and 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball to search for it and to put into play. We're also playing 2 Incense, 3 Ultra Balls, and 1 Turf Field to get our evolutions, 2 bibarel and 1 Snorlax for the draw support, including 3 Marnies, 1 Cynthia, 2 Bruno, and 1 Birdkeeper. Next, we have 4 Scorbunets for Butterfree, 1 Switch, 1 Air Balloon, and 1 Birdkeeper for the Switch, 1 Choice Buff for the damage boost, and 2 Boss's Order for the extra power play, 1 Power Pad to shuffle back our supporters since we are discarding a lot from our hand just to draw enough cards with bibarel, and 1 Farfetch'd to collect the knockout with Leek Lash doing 20 base damage, plus 10 more for each damage counter on opponent's active Pokemon. Finally, for our energies, we're playing 2 Double Turbo, 4 Twin, and 1 Capture. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay! Okay, let's go for our first game versus Giratina V-Star. We got our Komala with Butterfree. Very interesting new combo today. Doing tiny damage and kind of piling up those damage counters with the special condition, slowly killing them off turn after turn, and eventually we got that 1 Farfetch'd to collect the knockout with Leek Lash, doing big damage after we have after collecting enough damage counters on their active. So we have 60 damage with Collapse, and then possibly 7 damage counter with the Poison Burn condition, maybe even more if they flip the coin for Confusion. So you never know if they, if they don't play enough switch cards in their deck and they don't play Escape Rope. If they don't play Boss, they can actually get past Komala's All Was a Dream ability. So our ability is preventing them from drawing a prize. If they kill us, if we flip a Tails passing the turn, we actually go to sleep. That means they actually have to play a boss or escape rope, and in addition to that, we are forcing them to flip the coin for the Confusion as well. So they have to get the switch and the boss if they want to draw a prize, and you have to do it every single turn if we go to sleep every single turn. Bad thing about this card is that even though you're going to sleep with the attack, you cannot actually guarantee the coin flip, right? Because you are flipping the coin for the sleep condition, you can actually wake up on your opponent's next turn, and that means if you wake up, if your Komala is not asleep, they can actually kill it for a prize. They can draw their prize cards by knocking out your Komala. So that ability doesn't work anymore, and you are totally screwed. So you need to flip a lot of Tails. You need to be unlucky enough to be able to win the game with Komala, because it is quite a funny new ability that we are we are witnessing for Lost Origin, which is pretty bizarre, I would say. For a basic Pokemon, not a level ball card, you can't play a rescue carrier, you can't actually summon it with a level ball, which is quite ridiculous. 100 HP for a basic Pokemon. It's not supposed to evolve though, there's no evolution for Komala, so that means it should be at least 100 HP, I guess. Because stuff like Snorlax and Chansey actually does have an evolution. So, Greninja, Greninja is a stage 2 Pokemon, isn't it? But Radiant Pokemon normally has 130 HP at least. So Snorlax, I can't think of any other Pokemon. Lugia normally has Tornadus. There we go. Tornadus normally has 120 at least health points. For Komala, it's a little bit less, a little bit lower. I would prefer for it to have like 120 at least. 110 would be okay. Even Cramorant, like for God's sake, even Cramorant has 110 HP. But for some reason, Komala is 100. It kind of makes sense though. For some reason, it just looks pretty nice. 100 HP for Komala kind of makes a lot of sense. You know, just by the visuals. I don't know why. But I would prefer for it to be 120 at least. Come on. Snorlax is 150 HP. That's by far the highest for a 1 price basic. I think. I don't think there's anything higher than that. Regigigas has the same HP. So right now we are poison, you know, burning and poisoning their active. And we got our first, well, our second knockout by doing Collapse a second time. And I think they actually knocked out our first Komala. But we went to sleep the first time. That means they drew 0 prize for the first kill. I'm not too sure though. I think they actually did not attack for the first turn. They may have done a Cramorant, or they may have just played more Comfies. So I think they ended their turn though, right? They did, what's it called again? Greeting cells a few more times. And then that means now they just need a Fog Crystal or a Psychic Energy in their hand to attack with Giratina, Shred, 460 damage, killing off anything. They can still kill us, but they can't actually draw a prize though. Shred actually ignores all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. It says this damage, this attack's damage, is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. That means you still don't get to draw a prize because that effect is not affecting the damage that you're doing. It's affecting the player. The player is not allowed to draw a prize if Komala is knocked out while it is asleep. And Shred is not doing anything against that ability. But we didn't go to sleep, so they get to kill for a prize, which is pretty annoying. We got our Confusion this turn, so if they evolve into the V-Star, they can recover, but we got our Farfetch'd in the hand. We just need to play it at the right time. If they boss and kill off the Farfetch'd, we just need to Poison Burn again and get enough damage counters in the game, so we can at least do 130, well at most. The maximum amount of damage we can do is 130 damage this turn, right? Passing the Pokemon checkup. After Pokemon checkup, after the first Pokemon checkup, we can do up to 13 damage counter placement on their active with Collapse, with both Sneasler and Pyroar on the bench, and also Butterfree evolve on the same turn. So we need a lot, we need to pull off the full-on pure evolution. We need to have everything on a bench, including the Butterfree, evolve at the same time to be able to pull off 13 damage counters right now, and then perhaps more with the Confusion. If they don't switch, we can actually poison and burn them over and over. Like, the poison works on its own, but they can actually recover from the burn condition, flipping the coin. So Pyroar isn't doing much, honestly. It's kind of the same as Sneasler, adding two more damage counter for the burn. And if they flip a heads for the burn, it's only 1 Pokemon checkup that you're doing, but it's still okay though, I suppose. That 2 extra damage counter counts a lot. Later on in the game, eventually you're gonna have to, you know, eventually if you can play your Farfetch'd, obviously do that, but otherwise, I think you may need 3 hits with Komala. 3 hits with Komala to kill a VMAX, 2 hits for a V-Star. If, well actually you need 3 hits though, don't you? Because if you're doing 110, I think 110 is more common. Because if you have a Pyroar or a Sneasler on your bench, you would be able to do 5 damage counter placement with the special condition, and then 60 damage with your Collapse if you don't play double turbo. If you play double turbo with a choice belt, you're actually doing 70 damage, so you may be able to hit up to 160 actually, right? 160 is probably the maximum we can do with Pyroar, Sneasler, Butterfree evolved, Twin Energy, and choice belt attached to Komala. We can do 160 max damage but in a single turn, but that's like a bit ridiculous because we only are playing one copy of Choice Belt and one copy of Pyroar with the Sneasler because it's a Radiant Pokemon. We do have one Heavy Ball, but Pyroar could be prize. That means we cannot actually get that evolution from the prize unless if we draw it out. So playing one copy is pretty risky for a stage 1 Pokemon, but at least it's not a stage 2 support. It's a stage 1 support that does, you know, helps us do extra damage on our opponent's active for one turn at least. So now we got our V-Star knockout with Farfetch'd doing 130 damage with Leek Lash plus the poison burn condition. So they can evolve to remove the special conditions. They can switch. They can scoop up. Play a Sharon. So this deck is not perfect as we all know, but it's just a fun strategy just because if you can force your opponent to draw 0 prize every single turn, or if they have to play a boss just to get past that ability, it would be quite ridiculous though, wouldn't it? Like playing a boss, they would probably boss the Butterfree, but we have our Rod to shuffle it back. We have two copies of our Caterpie, Metapod, and Butterfree, so if we get one of it prize, we actually have to Rod back the other 2 cards back into the deck. So for example, if we have a Metapod prize, if they boss, knock out our Butterfree on the bench, we may actually need to Rod the Metapod back, right? And then maybe another Komala in addition to that. So we have 2 rods, so make sure you play it at the right time. Don't use it too early. Wait for the right moment to play your ordinary rod because you don't want to be wasting that card. So we got our Quick Ball, we got our Twin Energy for Komala to attack and possibly go to sleep. We have to aim for the sleep condition if we want to be denying them the prize draw. We're not doing a lot of damage this turn unfortunately because we got stuck with a dead hand. So this is one of the earliest build. We don't have a Paul Pat, not as many Ultra Balls, Quick Balls, not as many Marnie and Bruno as I like. So that's why we got stuck right now as you can see. So we are not playing a lot of supporter cards here. They actually have a Lost City in play. So if they boss the Butterfree and knock it out with Lost City in play, we only have 1 stadium, 1 turf field for this deck, which is pretty risky, I know, but you know, we don't really have the space for that many stadium cards because we need Incense for bibarel, we need our Great Ball, Ultra Ball for Pyroar to evolve for our basic Pokemons. Komala is quite difficult to summon. You only get to play Quick Ball, Ultra Ball, and Great Ball to get your Komala out late stage in the game. You cannot actually do Level Ball for that. So if you get VIP Pass after the first turn, you cannot use it to summon your Komala, obviously. So you actually have to use some other card to substitute for your Level Ball. Just because we are playing so many rods and only 3 copies of Komala, we want to be recycling it and searching for it as easily as we can. That's why we're playing so many balls, so many, you know, we have 1 Great Ball as well, 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, 4 Quick Ball, and 3 Ultra Balls. That's a lot. I would prefer adding like 1 more Great Ball or an extra Ultra Ball, but we don't really have the space for it. Playing 4 Ultra Balls is quite risky though if you don't have enough rods or Paul Pads in the deck. So that's why we need Paul Pad, right? Because if we have a boss, normally if I get stuck with a dead hand, it would probably be like a lot of bosses at the same time showing up in my hand, or like a lot of items like rods, scoop up net, all in bulk getting stuck in my hand. So if you get them stuck, you can actually play a Marnie to save yourself, or like a Bruno if they knock out your opponent, one of your Pokemon. If they knock out one of your Pokemon on their last turn, you can actually draw 7 cards with Bruno as well after shuffling your hand into the deck, which is pretty cool. So they knocked out our Litleo and it got losted. So that means we cannot put extra damage counter with the burn condition because Pyroar is no longer available. Pyroar cannot evolve because now we have no Litleo. It's in the lost zone. Leafeon VMAX. They are actually playing a very interesting deck here. They have Giratina V-Star with Leafeon for the greening cells and also an additional attacker just because Giratina is not quite a good card. It's not really that powerful on its own. You kind of need some other attackers. If you play like Giratina with Sableye and Cramorant, then it's gonna be okay, I suppose. Not as good as I'd like, but not bad, I would say. Maybe a Radiant Charizard or Radiant, something to attack with a Radiant. I've seen people play Mirage Gate for Greninja and Water Energy in a Giratina V-Star deck with Sableye and Cramorant. A lot more Cramorants than you'd think, because Cramorant is actually quite necessary. It's a free energy attacker. You may actually be left with 0 energies late in the game because you may not have enough energies to play your Giratina. Giratina needs to lose the energy each time you attack with that Pokemon, and if you're losing your energies with Comfey and Colress as well, I don't think you would be able to attack eventually playing, a limited amount of energies in a deck. So Mirage Gate for Greninja is pretty cool, but you actually have to discard your Water Energy, 2 energy attached to Greninja to be able to hit 90 damage. Only 90 though to two of your opponents, any 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is pretty cool. But 90 is not even enough to kill the bibarel. But you can actually play Greninja and then Sableye to kind of spread the 12 damage counters and collect extra prize, maybe 3 prize on your next turn, right? Instead of drawing only 2 prize with double Moonlight Shuriken, you can actually do Moonlight Shuriken and then Lost Mine to draw 3 prize in 2 turns. So Greninja is definitely a very interesting, it's definitely a very, valuable card for Standard right now. Because it kills Lunatone, it kills Clefairy, it kills a lot of decks. If they don't play Manaphy, Greninja is going to help you a lot. But, without Lost City, I don't think you can get past Manaphy's water availability. It's not that easy to get past Manaphy. And if they can guard their bench even for 1 turn, sometimes that's all they need. Sometimes 1 extra turn is all your opponent needs to win, even if you're doing a bench snipe. They have Scoop Up Net to recover the damage counters. They have, Cape of Toughness, ways to deny you from collecting the prize. So they actually flip the heads with the Confusion, knocking out our Metapod, which is terrible, losting our Adaptive Evolution card. Now we have 1 Butterfree in play. And as you can see, we got stuck again. We have an Ultra Ball though, at least. So if we play our cards right, we should be getting a supporter card by now. I don't think we have that many Marnies for this list. This is one of the earliest build. I keep saying that, but we don't have as much Marnie as I would like. Only 1 copy and maybe 1 Bruno and 1 Cynthia as well. So very few supporters, a lot more items. Pokemon wise is kind of the same. I think it's exactly the same. We have 2 bibarel, 1 Snorlax. Maybe 4 Komalas, my bad. 4 Komalas and 1 Rod with 2 Farfetch'd, I think. So we don't need that many Farfetch'd, honestly, because if it shows up late in the game, that would be great. So we want to be cutting it down to 1 copy just because we want for it to show up late in the game. That's the reason, but you never know though. It's always a gamble. You never know if you're gonna draw the Farfetch'd early. It's never a sure strategy. If you kind of manipulate the game by, playing certain copies in the deck, you never really know what's gonna happen. It's always down to blind luck, honestly. Most times, I would say. So we flip the tails. They just need 1 last prize. We actually need 2 more prize, so we need 1 last turn to kill off the Leafeon VMAX for the final 2 prize. They need 1 last knockout though. If they get a boss or escape rope this turn, they win the game. So they did the switch, and since we have 7 cards remaining and no more Scoop Up Net, no more boss. I think we have the boss, my bad. We have the boss in our hand, sorry. But we have no more Scoop Up Nets for Butterfree to use his ability. So they actually pass the turn and we flip the heads. So we get to attack with Komala again. If we flip a tails, we cannot attack. But they actually need 2 pure coin flips. They need they need us to flip a heads and then a tails consecutively. If we don't flip a heads then tails, then they can't actually, well, sorry, a double heads. If we flip a double heads, then they can actually knock us out for a prize. If we flip a heads then tails, they can't actually do anything unless if they get their bosses or escape rope. If we flip a tails and then a heads, that would be terrible because we cannot attack on our turn, but on our opponent's next turn, Komala is waking up. That means they get to draw the prize. So we actually got pretty lucky on our last game because we flipped the coin, go to sleep on our opponent's turn, and then wake up on our turn, allowing us to use the attack, allowing us to collapse again with the same Komala because I don't think we have enough twin energy left in the deck. So we have a lot more energies though. The earlier build of this combo, Komala with Butterfree and Pyroar, Hisuian, Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, bibarel, Snorlax. We have like 3 double turbo, 4 twin head. We had that amount of energy plus 1 capture, and now we're cutting down to 2 double turbo, same for the twin energy, 4 copies, and same for the capture, only 1, because I don't think we need more than that. Here comes Ice Rider with Inteleon, and we go first. We get to do so much, and we even get to draw cards with Snorlax, which is grand. Let's hope they don't play a Marnie. Even if they do though, we would probably get a bibarel anyways. So they did not, my bad, I think it's their first turn, so that means they can't actually evolve or knock out anything this turn. So we got 1 turn delay. We get to delay them by 1 turn in terms of drawing their prizes, because Pierce is not doing enough damage for a knockout, and Glacial Lance needs too much energies. Okay, they're gonna evolve on the next turn, so I don't think we should be using the Butterfree's ability on this turn. We should be waiting for them to evolve before we, use our Tricolored Scale ability to place damage counters on them. If your opponent plays Big Parasol, Wash Energy, or like Virizion V, you can't actually play, or even Fusion Strike Energy, you can't use your Butterfree's ability to poison, burn, and confuse their active. Aromatic Energy, what else is there? I forgot. Fusion Strike Energy, Big Parasol, and Wash. Well, Wash only protects on effects of attacks, my bad. So Wash doesn't actually guard you from, abilities, your opponent's Pokemon's abilities. Only Enamorous and Fusion Strike Energy does that. Okay, we got our incense for Metapod. I think we played a Bruno or maybe a Marnie. I'm pretty sure we chose to attack this turn, because we have a lot of rods to shuffle back to Sim Komala. If we pause the turn right now though, they would be evolving and knocking out the Snorlax. So we should be flipping the coin, because if we go to sleep, they have to do a boss, and we are wasting their bosses. We are kind of forcing them to play the supporter just to get 1 prize, which may not be a good thing. They have Paw Pad though. Inteleon decks with Paw Pad is quite smart, because that means you get to search for any supporter with your next Drizzile right after searching for a Paw Pad and something else with your Inteleon. You even got Irida. Irida is going to get you another item card in addition to your Shadies. So Inteleon is crazy broken now, all thanks to Irida. But if you use Irida, you can't play Melanie, you can't play Marnie, Research, Cynthia. Irida has its limits. It's not really that powerful on its own. So they saved our energy. Oh, it wasn't saving though, because they actually removed the energy from Komala. I thought it was attached to Snorlax. Okay, here comes right up the High King. That would be enough, I think. There we go. Okay. So we just need the Butterfree. We're gonna do Great Ball, then Ultra Ball. We should be benching the Komala. So sometimes you get too many energies in your hand, so that's why I decided eventually to go down to only 6 energy for the attack. 2 double turbo, 4 twin is enough. For some reason, if you play more than that, bibarel is gonna draw you nothing but your special energies. Okay, we got our Butterfree. We're just gonna play bibarel to draw even more cards. And then maybe a Bruno to get our Pyroar and Sneasler out. So we got 11 damage counters in the game. Can we boost even more with Pyroar? I think we should be doing Bruno. Okay, not bad. Let's do Heavy Ball to get the Sneasler out. So now we got 2 extra damage counters. I think we're hitting 11, right? 110 damage. So it's not a lot. If we got the Pyroar though, it would be 140. Okay, we went to sleep. Please don't wake up. Okay, we went to sleep. So now they need a boss, escape rope, something to get past our ability. There should be a new item that heals all special condition from both active Pokemons, or maybe even 1 or 2 special conditions from both active. That would be pretty interesting to play for standard, for expanded as well, for that matter. Okay, we got no Pyroar yet, but we got our Marnie, Cynthia for the next turn. Turf Field to remove Path to the Peak. So if they play Path, Radiant Sneasler has no ability. That means you can't actually place extra damage counter with special conditions anymore. If they play Fusion Strike Energy, Butterfree's ability doesn't work. So I don't think there's any hope of winning against a Mew VMAX deck for this list. But we're not doing too badly against other meta decks. Ice Rider is pretty strong for a meta deck with Palkia V-Star as well. And we even won a Giratina V-Star a couple times with QRAM. I think QRAM with Ice Rider, I think that's the same game though. Oh, I don't think we won that. That's not in the recording. I don't think we won that. Because they're too fast. QRAM is way too fast because you can attach extra energy from the top card of the deck if you discard it by discarding it. If it's an energy, attach it from your discard pile to any of your Pokemon in any way you like. If it's not an energy, you just discard it, right? Okay, we're just gonna evolve to Metapod. Then on next turn, do our Butterfree. $170. Just need a couple more hits. So we're doing 60 pure damage thanks to Twin Energy. And we recovered from the sleep condition. They recovered from the burn condition. This is a disaster fast. Let's hope they flip the tails. If they don't flip the coin though, they can quite easily do Melanie to attack with Palkia. They have the V-Star in their hand already. So if we kill the Palkia, all we need to do is boss the Ice Rider to collect the knockout for three more prize in addition to the 2. And then after that, we got another boss, maybe a Palpad to do a boss the 3rd time. For a Drizzile to knock out a Drizzile with your Collapse and Butterfree. They even have a Blissey. Oh wait, my bad. That's not a Blissey, that's a Palkia. Something wrong with my eyesight. Palkia with space ruling attack, I think. Rule and Rain or something. Switch attack for a Stadium card put into your hand. Pretty interesting, but I don't think there's any other thing you can do. It's not really that powerful in attack. It's not that useful. Okay, we're just gonna Ultra Ball. Maybe discard the Metapod. I don't think we need the Metapod right now. We got 2 rods, we can shuffle it back later. Okay, only 1 bibarel, but we got the Cynthia. We should be good. You just need 60 damage to kill off the active. I don't think we even need to attack, but it's always better to attack with Komala if you have it in play, because if you don't go to sleep, if you don't sleep yourself, your opponent is gonna just play a boss to knock it out early, and then you can't do it anymore. So right now they have two Sobbles on the bench with a Drizzile, which is quite terrible, and we actually have to deal with the V-Star on the next turn. It's not looking too well for us. They have 4 prize remaining, but we are denying them from drawing a prize eventually, because we actually woke up this turn, which is terrible. Here comes the V-Star. Subspace Swell. Quite a nice name though, right? Has a nice ring to it. Subspace Swell. Quite like the name. It's kind of like short and sweet, concise and catchy sort of phrase. We got 2 boss in this deck, which is pretty cool. Normally 1 boss is enough. I prefer doing only 1 boss for most of my decks, because if you play too many bosses, it's kind of like, it's not really smart. I mean, you don't really need to be smart to win the game. If you play that many bosses in your deck, sometimes enough boss is all you need. So that's why I prefer to keep bosses to a minimum, because that card is way too powerful, honestly. If you play enough Bibarels or Chinchino, all you need is like 3 bosses in a deck to win the game. Like, boss is gonna win you a lot of games. And if you can win without that many copies of boss, that's a big achievement, right? That's a huge achievement, because that means you're smart enough to not rely on that crazy supporter card. It's not always perfect, but it does a lot, right? It gives you a bigger level of control, because you get to control when to knock out for what prize. If you have, like, for example, 5 prize remaining, you get to do a boss to kill a Crobat now, and then plan on killing a VMAX on the next turn with another boss, right? Or you can actually plan on killing a VMAX and then 2 more, 1 prize like a Dunsparce and a Drizzile on a bench. You can boss multiple times and control how many prize you draw every single turn for a knockout. So boss is crazy. Like, if you play too many, you're gonna win. It's like a no-brainer. It's too easy. I don't like making things too easy. is not a challenge anymore. Like, life is not a challenge anymore. And what's the point? Might as well just not play the game. Might as well just play something like Candy Crush, right? This is Pokemon. You're supposed to think. You're supposed to... It's supposed to be difficult. And they just benched another Ice Weather. We have 11 damage counters in the game. So if we can somehow play the Farfetch'd at the last call, I'm pretty sure we can kill the Palkia. So we got 240 damage, right? 130 plus 110. 240, we just need 4 more damage counters. That means we just need a Sneasler or the Pyroar. If they play Path to the Peak though, we need our Stadium card. We only have 1 Turf Field in this deck. So Sneasler may sometimes do nothing throughout the entire game. That's why we have our Pyroar. If you don't want to play Pyroar just because it's an evolution, if you have like either Litleo or Pyro priced, especially the Pyroar, if you have the stage 1 priced, you cannot actually use that ability throughout the entire game. So I think if you prefer a higher level of security, rather than doing big damage, you have the chance of hitting bigger damage counters. So if you play Pyroar, you have a higher chance of playing the Poison Burn condition for a total of 7 damage counters every single turn, because you're poisoning for 3 and then you're burning for 4. There's a total of 7 damage counters. And if they don't retreat or switch, if they don't heal from the special condition as well, if they don't evolve their Pokemon, you get to place another 7 during the next Pokemon checkup. Every Pokemon checkup. That's a lot. Anyways, if you don't like playing Pyroar, you can actually replace that Pokemon, 1 copy of Litleo and Pyroar with 2 more Stadium cards for this deck. It's because this deck doesn't really have enough Stadiums if they do Path. Or even Lost City. Lost City is quite destructive as you saw earlier. If they play Lost City to kill your Butterfree, like ending your Butterfree, you cannot actually win the game because you have no ability to use. If they do double boss to kill your Butterfree, you're done. Because we only have that 1 Stadium to remove the Lost City. If they kill your Komala as well with the Lost City, you cannot retrieve it with your even if they're not drawing a prize, at least they're losting that card. That means you can't play Ordinary Rod to recycle your Komala, and you cannot attack with it more times. And that's doing a lot, right? They don't really need to be bothered about... It's a new lost card basically, right? It's not a lost card, a new control card. Lost City is controlling your opponent by cutting off the number of attackers they have, kind of the same as Avery. Avery is discarding Pokemons from the bench. Lost City is removing Pokemons that got knocked out from play. That means your opponent can no longer recycle them. They can no longer play a Clara or Rod or Rescue Carrier to retrieve them. They can no longer transform with Zoroark or Ditto V, Thornton. They can no longer do anything. That 1 copy of Pokemon is put into the Lost Zone and they're done. Shedinja, can you imagine? Shedinja with Ditto. If they lost the Shedinja, you cannot use it anymore. There's no way they can lose the Shedinja though, is there? Because if you play a Ditto, you are having the Shedinja on the bench. In the discard pile. That means they can only lose your Ditto. If you play Thornton though, you have to put Shedinja into play. That means you are attacking in the active spot, and that actually allows them to lose your Shedinja. So it's a very tricky thing. I suppose Ditto is very powerful just because of that, but the bad thing about Ditto is that if your opponent plays Weezing or Empoleon V, you can't actually use its ability. That means it cannot attack. Sudden transformation doesn't work. That means Ditto cannot actually use any of your, Pokemon, basic Pokemon discard powers attacks. Pokemon that has no rule blocks on them. It cannot attack at all, for that matter. So now we got 14 damage counter on the Ice Rider and 11 on the Palkia, and they did not play a path. I'm quite surprised because normally Ice Rider decks have a lot of path, but they are not playing a path to the peak. I don't know why. I think they're playing more energies for Greninja possibly because they have Star Portal. It only works once though, right? You only get to use it once. Maybe they have a Raihan or something for the Greninja. Irida. Irida's Palkia. And Adamant's Dialga. And Arceus is kind of owned by nobody, because Arceus is a motherfucking god. Okay, they just evolved. They didn't realize that we have a Farfetch'd. So for this game, we actually got lucky enough to have the Farfetch'd in our hand, and we did not discard, we did not put it on the bench, we did not, play it from our hand or from the deck. That means our opponent they don't know at all. They do not know that we have a Farfetch'd in the deck. That means they actually chose to evolve the Ice Rider, expecting that we would be killing it slowly with more Komalas. But we actually do have a Farfetch'd for the next turn. So we're gonna do a surprise kill later on. Right after, there we go. They did not play a Marnie, so now we get to do Air Balloon for the retreat, and then Leek Lash for the knockout, killing off the VMAX right now on this turn. And they're done because we got another 3 prize by killing off a second VMAX. We just need a double turbo, honestly, because we are doing 20 base as well. 20 base damage plus 170 is enough to kill the VMAX. 340 plus the poison burn, which is a lot more than enough. So we did the Scuba Knight for the Lidio because we know we don't have a Pyroar inside the deck. We have it priced, and also we know we're gonna draw more cards that way, helping us get the double turbo 2 energy out. We only have 4 cards left in the deck, so Bruno is probably gonna get us 1 energy at least. I think we have a double turbo and a twin left. So Bruno, Cynthia, Marnie is a very good card for this list. Marnie especially because if you get stuck with all the cards that you need for later, Marnie is going to help you a lot. And Bruno works, it kind of matches really well with Marnie. I don't like Cynthia though. For some reason, it doesn't really work that well. Cynthia needs a lot of items in your deck. If you play Malamar, Cynthia is kind of the perfect match, because Cynthia helps you draw until you have 8 cards in your hand. That means you either need to discard your hand before playing that supporter, or you need to shuffle back cards into the deck. And Malamar actually helps you do that by default. You have to shuffle back a lot of cards into the deck with your Rapid Strike Tentacles, and then after that, on your next turn, once they kill your Malamar, you actually get to play Cynthia to refill your hand back to 8, a full 8 hand, which is a lot. Bruno helps you shuffle the deck. That means whatever that you put at the bottom of the deck right now, Bruno is going to help you get those cards back into your hand on the next turn. So that's why I love Bruno so much. Shuffling your deck is quite interesting. Even a Shauna, like if you don't like Marnie's, play 2 copies of Marnie and 1 Shauna, because Shauna can help you kind of shuffle things back and possibly draw the cards that you need now and arrange the one that you don't need and put it inside the deck somewhere so that it shows up later in the game. So sequencing is the key to win the game if you do a bibarel deck, because bibarel forces you to discard your hand as you go. Same as your Mew VMAX. I keep saying this, but it's true. Same as Genesect V. If you don't discard your hand, you cannot draw. If you don't draw cards, you're done. You cannot actually, you can't get the cards. You can't search for the cards that you need to get your system running. So you can't gain momentum in the game without drawing the right cards into your hand. If you draw the wrong cards, you have to discard them and then draw more cards with your bibarel, which is terrible. That's why we have Pulpad. That's why we need Ordinary Rod, Pulpad, Marnie, Bruno to basically counter the terrible ability that is bibarel. Right, bibarel's ability is not perfect. It's actually quite terrible. If you guys play the game long enough, you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. Bibarel is just, sometimes it hurts because you have terrible, like the cards that you cannot discard. Your Twin Energy, your Double Turbo, you have all of them in your hand. It's only 5 cards, by the way. If you get like 2 VIP and 2 Twin with the Double Turbo in your hand, you can't do anything. You're stuck. You have no Ultra Ball. Even if you are playing 4 copies of Ultra Ball, 4 Quick Ball, a lot of discarders, you may just not get anything. So that's why you need a lot of supporter cards. Even if you are doing a bibarel engine, it's just essential. You can't go without them. Here comes the VMAX. We went to sleep though, which is cool. They got the Articuno, but they're not doing Psy Laser this turn. So no Escape Rope, no Boss, no Psy Laser. That means they're not drawing a prize this turn, thank God, because they don't have an extra energy in the hand for Articuno. I would have just done a single energy attachment with the ability, and then do Underworld Door to charge up the Articuno on the bench, just to help us, to help out with the energy draw. If you draw another energy with Shadow Rider, maybe they have already used the ability. I'm pretty sure they already used the ability for the Shadow Rider VMAX on the bench. Okay, right now we got bibarel. We played a supporter. I'm not sure what supporter we played, but we're gonna do Ultra Ball for maybe a Caterpie. Oh, we actually got Metapod in the active. I did not see that. So we're gonna do Scoop Up Net. Oh dear, we don't have a Komala on the bench. So let's play our bibarel first. Bench a Komala. We don't have a Komala. Oh my god. Okay, we may not be able to attack this turn, but it's okay. Yeah, sometimes you have no choice but to play the Rod early, but it's okay. We have another copy to spare. We got nothing but Twin Energies. See, look, that's the frustrating thing about bibarel. He keeps giving you the wrong cards. So now we're stuck with nothing. We have to scoop out the Butterfree if we want to keep using the ability. Otherwise, they're just gonna kill it. And then we are forced to play Rods for the Butterfree instead of the Komala. We want to be using Rods for Komala and Farfetch'd. Or possibly our Pyroar if they boss knock it out. Whatever that they boss and kill, except for bibarel because we're playing 2 copies. We may have the other copy prize though, so sometimes you may need to Rod back to bibarel. And think about benching a second Bidoof just in case they kill the first bibarel. We don't have a lot of bench space though, do we? We need 1 spot for Sneasler, another for Pyroar, another for Butterfree, and that means we have 2 spots left. one for bibarel, another one for either a Bidoof or another Komala. If you bench a second Komala though, they're probably going to play either Avery or just a boss to knock out the second one. Avery is going to destroy this deck because we need so many supports. We need Butterfree, Sneasler, Pyroar, and bibarel, and that's 4. A minimum of 4. If we don't have those 4, we can't actually do much. We're not able to do enough to win the game. So if they play Avery more than twice, we are definitely gonna lose the game. It's not that easy anymore. So they actually recovered. I'm not sure how they recovered from the special condition. I wasn't paying attention. Probably a switch retreat with Mew. Switch scoop on that with Mew, I think. Okay, we're gonna do Industrious Inciser first, and then Marnie. We got our switch. So switch is quite important for this deck. We only have one switch, one air balloon, which doesn't actually work for Komala, and one bird keeper. So the reason we have switches in this deck is because if we go to sleep with our collapse, if we sleep, if our Komala goes to sleep and never wakes up, our opponent can actually choose to deck us out or like choose not to attack our active Pokemon and snipe our bench with something like a Sableye or Greninja, anything that attacks the bench. We have no Manaphy for this deck. I suppose that's the reason we actually need a Manaphy. I actually recommend adding a Manaphy for this list just because it's very, very weak against we have Scoop on that though, we have enough switch cards, but it's better to add a Manaphy. So if they play a bench snipe deck, they can avoid dealing with your Komala in the active spot and then draw even more prize, another extra prize instead of drawing less prize, which is the main strategy for our deck with their Greninja, Urshifu, anything. Sableye as well. Sableye is quite terrible because they get to place 12 damage counter in any way they like. They get to target anything on the bench. They can kill the Metapod and the Litleo and an extra card in 2 turns. Knocking out for 3 prize. Crazy. We have our Scoop Up Net. So if they have Sableye, make sure you play the Butterfree smart. And the Pyroar as well. If you don't have the evolution, don't play your Litleo. Don't bench it. But you never really know though what they're gonna play, honestly, because Sableye is a late stage Pokemon. It's supposed to show up late, and if your opponent choose not to play it from the hand until the last minute, you won't know that they are gonna do a Sableye. Well, obviously there is telltale signs. Like if they play Shiftry, they could quite possibly do a Sableye. If they play Comfy with Colrus, quite possibly have Sableyes in their deck. Right? There are telltale signs, obviously. We did our Bruno this turn. So the Shadow on the bench is heavily damaged. We just need a couple more strikes with the Komala, or maybe 2 more strikes actually. Or maybe even one final hit with the Farfetch'd for 3 prize, and then maybe the Lumineon for 2. I don't know. We should be hitting anything in the active right now to draw the first prize if we want to kill the Lumineon and the Shadow Rider. Because I think it's actually enough though, isn't it? If we do a boss on the Lumineon, we have like 5 damage controls on it. And then Poison Burn on the next turn, we got another 5. So that's like, we're doing 70 damage though. We're only doing 70 damage with Farfetch'd. So that's like 120 plus 5 more. It's actually enough though. It's exactly enough. Right? Burn Poison for 5 damage counters. Leek Lash for 70. That's 170. Exactly enough. I'm not sure if that's 60 or 50. My eyesight's not too good. I think it's 50. So we did not kill the Articuno. We did not manage to knock it out. Unfortunately, I thought we had it because without the Pyroar, we're only doing 11 damage counter placement. And if they can't retreat though, we got another free hit on the next turn. If they do retreat, they are not drawing a prize unless if they play Escape Rope Boss. Because we got another Tails, thank God. And they just conceded because they got no switch card. There we go. Articuno is dead and we got another free strike on the next turn. If we get the switch though, we actually need to switch to Komala. If we don't wake up, we actually have to play Bird Keeper or switch in order to attack with the same Pokemon or some other, another Pokemon on the bench. That's why sometimes it's safer to bench a second Komala. If you get stuck that way. You can also choose, you can choose to play Wind Up Arm for Komala. So if they don't deal with the active, you can still attack with it while it's asleep with your Wind Up Arm. Because that tool card allows you to attack, allows your Pokemon to attack, even if you are asleep or paralyzed. You can still attack with that Pokemon. We got our Great Ball, we're just going to use it first. So always play Great Ball before doing Turf Field or any other Pokemon for that matter. We got Marnie for the next turn, so we should be drawing as much cards into our hand and then do the Marnie. Well, we got Litleo, so that means we can actually quite easily evolve the Pyroar, and Giratina V-Star does not have that many Marnies. They need to play Colress early in order to get the Star Requiem, Lost Mine, Mirage Gate, Cramorant, all those systems running. They need to play, Comfy, Colress from the very beginning, the very first turn of the game. So that means no early start Marnies, no bosses, the first few turns of the game, and that's actually helping you a lot. Is giving you a lot of space to set up your strategy. Fantina. Because Arceus with Starbirth, you get to search for Choice Belt or maybe even a double turbo and a boss, and then you get to play the boss on your second turn after evolving the Arceus. Whereas with a Giratina, you may still need to play Colress again on your second turn after evolving, just to give yourself that extra attack. Star Requiem, extra optional attack. So good thing about that attack is that you don't need to lose the energies when you use it. If you attack with a 280 damage one, you have to lose 2 copies of your energy from Giratina, which is gonna be really, really hefty. There's no way you can retrieve it back. And if you lost more energies with your Comfy, you're screwed, right? You need a lot of retrieval, recycler, something to get back the energies that got discarded on your last turn after the Giratina gets knocked out. Because that's the only energies that you have. You have no more energies in the deck, no more energies in your hand. You need to keep on recycling the same energies because you don't have enough. So we're drawing 5 cards with bibarel, which is delicious. And we get to bench the Sneasler, but we don't have the Butterfree. Oh, we have it. We actually do, but we are forced to discard our Rod and Twin Energy if we want the full team. We actually got it though. So we got 160 damage. We got the max damage output for this game. We got so lucky. Not so lucky though. I wouldn't say so lucky because we have to discard essentials from our hand. We do have to discard that Twin Energy and a Rod, which is kind of costly. So it kind of makes sense. We have the Lucky Choice Belt though. So we're doing 90 damage with Komala and then 70 more with the special condition. That's a total of 160, 16 damage counters in a single turn. Crazy huge. That means we just need 2 hits to kill the V-Star or even a V-Max. Normally, we need 3 hits to knock out a V-Max, but that's okay, because they are drawing 1 prize at a time if they play a V-Max deck, unless if they do Urshifu or something like that. So I would recommend, again, to play a Manaphy or 2, because if they play like Lost City, Manaphy is going to the Lost Zone. Maybe 1 Manaphy is good enough, right? To buy yourself an extra turn against Delphox or, you know, Jolteon VMAX with Lost City, Urshifu with Lost City. Lost City is crazy now. Is reviving those bench snipe decks into the format. It's bringing back Zero Aura, Urshifu into the game. Rapid Urshifu, obviously. Single Strike Urshifu is still in the game though. Like, people don't realize how powerful that card is. Goodra actually reduces damage done to it by 80. That means if you play Duraludon or Single Strike Urshifu, you can actually kill the Goodra with 1 hit. Duraludon is a bit more difficult because you're only doing 220 damage for 3 energies. You need a lot more support. You need like Single Strike Energy, Choice Belt, and maybe an Ambor, right? You need Ambor to help you do extra damage. If you play only a Single Strike Energy plus the Choice Belt, I don't think that's enough. That's only 270 HP. That's only 270 damage. And I think Goodra has 280 HP, I'm pretty sure. Well, no, it has only 270. So we just need 1 Single Strike Energy and 1 Choice Belt, right? On the Duraludon. Theoretically, that's all we need to kill off the Goodra, because Gardevoir's ability doesn't work. GMAX Pulverization gets to cut through all abilities and effects of attacks, including tool cards, special energy, stadium, anything except for resistance. Since Dragon type has no resistance, we get to do a raw 270 damage to kill off the V-Star with 1 hit. They can't heal, they can't do anything. Defense buff doesn't work. Single Strike Urshifu is doing a lot more. 270 base plus maybe Single Strike for 20 more, Choice Belt for 30 more. And you get to do, you know, Ambor for another 30. Ambor is not a good card though. You need to play, you know, Ambor with a VMAX, especially if you need that many Houndooms. You need to play Mustard for the Ambor. Otherwise, it's virtually impossible to get the stage 2 out. Okay, we got a Cramorant knockout this turn with our Pyroar Sneasler on the bench. Hitting for 7 damage counter plus 60 more with Collapse. So honestly, well, we only need either one of the 2. We don't need both, because Cramorant only has 110 HP. So 11 damage counter would be enough. We don't need that extra 2 from the Pyroar. If we play a double turbo though, we would need both Pyroar and the Sneasler. So they got a Giratina on the bench. Damaged 160. We just need 120 more damage to kill off this the first Giratina with a Farfetch'd, or maybe a second Komala with another Butterfree. So if we do Twin Energy, it's gonna be 130, which is enough to kill off the V-Star. If we do double turbo on the Komala with the Butterfree, it won't be enough. Here comes Mirage Gate. And they're going to charge up the second Giratina to attack with it. We got 5 prize remaining, so this game is going to be a bit long. Here comes Shred. We got our boss in our hand, so we can actually choose to play the boss. So that 1 air balloon is doing a lot for you, because if you don't get your basic Pokemon out, if you don't have a Komala or a Farfetch'd in your hand, you can actually put your Bibarel as the active with the air balloon attached, or even Sneasler with the air balloon, and then play a Bruno, Marnie to get the basic Pokemon, or even Industrious Incinerator to draw it out, and then bench it, attach the energy, or even bench it and then play the supporter card to draw the energy out, attach, retreat, kill, right? Obviously you can't kill anything that fast. If you If you can flip the coin though, maybe that's enough. If you go to sleep, sometimes that actually helps you win the game by buying yourself more turns, denying your opponent from drawing a prize, over and over and over with all just a dream ability. Very, very cool new card that we are experimenting with here. It's not an experiment anymore, it actually works. It does work now in Standard quite well, I might add. So I think I'm just going to end the voiceover right here and leave you guys to focus on the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this new combo. Today we're featuring the new Komala from Lost Origin with the All Just a Dream ability, allowing you to deny your opponent from drawing any prize card if they knock out your Komala in the active while it is asleep. So we also have our Butterfree helping us poison, burn, and confuse our opponent's active Pokemon as we evolve that card from our hand. So confusing our opponent's active actually forces them to get past that special condition and also our ability, since if we flip a tails with our sleep condition, they are not drawing a prize by knocking out the Komala. That means we are forcing them to switch the active or evolve it while doing a boss or escape rope at the same time to get past Komala's ability. So we are forcing them to get past two abilities at the same time. That means even if we flip a heads with Komala, at least we have the confusion trap. And we also have our Pyroar, Sneasler to add even more damage counter to our opponent's Pokemon, slowly killing them bit by bit with tiny damage and tiny damage counter with our Collapse and also Scorching Aura and Poison Peak. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, lovely people. Enjoy your life.